opinion. Just one tiny problem with it. Inspecting your post, it looks like your opinion is different from mine. Let me tell you something. I am the baseline for opinions. Any opinion I hold is objectively correct, and as a result, any other opinions are wrong. Guess what? You happen to hold a wrong one. I hope you know that your opinion is now illegal. I have contacted the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the Navy SEALs, Secret Service, and your mom. You'll be sorry you ever shared your opinions. By the time you're reading this, you'll be done for. Nature will punish you. Humanity will punish you. Supernatural beings will punish you. Space will punish you. We decided just to make sure we'll nuke your house from orbit, so there's no chance you can run away. Everyone will know you will die. It's a small price to pay to remove your wrong opinion from this world.
Hello. Again, if you're watching this, we're going to watch a reaction to, drama regarding the Korean football, because what the heck was that game? Trash, absolutely. And apparently, also theory is that the manager / coach freaking hates Son, so we're going to react to a long video about it. And if you're watching on the rewatch, consider liking, subscribing, or commenting your thoughts on, the stream itself. Without further ado, we're gonna watch this long video and then share my opinion at the end.
This is Hannah. Welcome back to my island. At first, it seems the reporter didn't know the microphone was on. It was June 2026 at the 2026 World Cup.
이게 주장이어서 이렇게 소대장 뛰듯이 저렇게.
Oh, this is regarding, when they said why is he acting like a military? He's never been in the military thing.
잘 그냥 그렇게 하는 거예요.
가까운 쪽에 뛰는 거 아닌가 그냥?
카메라
아니 뭐 군대에서 뛰는 것처럼 저렇게 뛰네. 주장이어서 그런가?
군대가 안 갔다 온 게 아니라 안 갔다 온 새끼들이 뭐 국자도 우리.
They were at the training ground in Mexico. Korean media were filming the national team getting ready for the tournament. The camera was following the captain. A man at 34 still runs harder than anyone, out in front like a squad leader. That was Son Heung-min. Then from off camera, two men's voices drifted into the footage. They were Korean reporters who had flown to Mexico to cover the team. A woman reporter who was with them said the camera is rolling, but the two men didn't stop. If anything, they seemed to pick even sharper words. You know how men get worse when there's a woman around. Is he running like a squad leader just because he's captain? He runs like an officer in the army. And he didn't even serve the army. Beep, with the slurs. That conversation went out on the broadcast and spread around the world. Sports media in Mexico and people there were puzzled. Outlets in Britain, the United States, and elsewhere picked it up. The Korean team boycotted domestic press interviews outside their official schedule. Sonny led the team to a win over the Czech Republic with 2 goals and then walked past the mixed zone without a word. As of the moment I'm filming this, we still don't know which reporters talked behind Sonny's back in that footage. The Korean reporters have closed ranks and stay quiet for each other. In the same way, Korean reporters have not written a single line about this incident. Instead, they only write spiteful pieces saying Sonny snubbed the domestic press after the Czech win. Foreign media are asking a question. Why is Korea so desperate to dim the light its own player, a player the whole world adores? This isn't a story about only Sonny. Back when Park Chan-ho, Park Se-ri, Park Ji-sung, and Kim Yeona were world champions, Korean reporters threw scoring disputes, attitude controversy, and retirement pressure at them too. While BTS were topping the Billboard chart, Korean media talked about their military service before their music, looking for something to pick at. In the very
So what I'm gathering is that Korean media is like every media. They're not. Yes, they also try to attack you at any point.
moment the world bows in respect, we reach for a ruler. Does this person meet our standard? Are they qualified? Why
I'll
do we
also
keep
just mention this video will be in the description. If you want to watch it yourself, you can see in the description. So, just in chance anyone wants to watch it, I will have it there. Just in the chance. So, like I usually do, I usually have it at the
doing
description.
this? This is my question for today. At first, it feels strange. Korea is a country with one main ethnic group. People say that no matter how badly Koreans treat each other, in the end, they look after their own.
They're all Koreans.
We even have a slang word, 국뽕. It roughly means a Korean of intoxicating national pride. It's so common, it's part of everyday speech. So why does a country like that treat its own heroes more harshly? The answer is the other way around. We are harsher because we are one people. In a country where many races and many cultures live together, someone is rising up in an unusual way feels natural. That society starts from the idea that different people walk different paths.
Really? Okay, I guess we'll get the ad out of the way early. But I guess that makes sense. One person, so you treat, some of the best people way more scrutinily.
Whoa. Is
But
your
also,
mind blown? This is Samsung
Before
Micro.
we continue. Now that they lost to South Africa, they need a lot of things, especially Japan, to beat Sweden.
But it's different in society where the belief we are all the same is set deep in the bones. When someone rises up alone above that belief, it doesn't read as an achievement. It reads as breaking away. The fact that this person took a different path becomes a reason for suspicion, not for applause. The more a community worships sameness, the harder it pulls down anyone who leaves the line. So 국뽕 is not unconditional. It comes with the conditions. To put it precisely, it works like this. Not, I'm proud this person is Korean, but I'm proud this person represents Korea the way we want.
So basically, how they perceive Korea should be represented. They will support you, and if you're representing it the way they don't feel you are representing it correctly, they will tear you down. Sounds... Yeah.
Sonny lives in London and LA. He gives interviews in English and German. The more he becomes a citizen of the world, the more he slips from our Son Heung-min toward a Sonny who isn't only ours. Once the world starts to claim him, something inside us turns over. 국뽕 was a kind of love that only worked while he stayed ours. Other countries have their elite, privileged press too. The powerful holding the pen is much the same everywhere. But there's one variable that exists only in Korea: the military. In Korea, military service isn't just a duty. It's a rite of passage. It's the most powerful leveling device still alive today, one that blinds all men into a single shared experience. A man who fulfilled that in
Even professional athletes, whether traditional or esports, have to fill it unless some exceptions where you can exempt it, either Asian games. I think Sony is also exempt from being Germany or some other reason. But some people just do it anyway. BTS could exempt it, but they decided to do it anyway.
in a different way or who was exempted stands outside this huge shared experience. That's why the line, "I served in the army," works like a kind of class certificate among Korean men. When you think about it, it's a strange scene. When a British reporter goes to cover Sony, there's nothing about Sony that lets the reporter feel superior. Sony is overwhelming in every way. But the Korean reporter still has one thing he believes only he has, and Sony does not. "I served in the army." Standing before the most expensive Asian footballer in the world, a man who poured his whole life into exams and rankings finally plays his last card. And the card is a record of military service. This one scene shows a sickness inside us, all at once. Here, someone might say it was just two small-minded reporters slipping up. A couple of amateurs who couldn't tell public from private. No, they didn't fail to tell public from private. In that moment, they believed they were in a private space. They didn't know the camera was rolling. So they just did what they always do. And that's what makes it scarier. What leaks out in an off-guard moment is who a person really is.
What you say in private is what you truly are. So if that leaks, that just kind of shows what kind of person you are behind the camera or behind closed doors.
Mark wasn't a spur-of-the-moment slip. It means they have thought that way all along. It means they were close enough to share that kind of talk freely with a colleague. It means they carried that feeling as they stood in front of Sony, asked their questions, and wrote their articles. The problem wasn't the microphone. It was what was in their hearts. The basic of sport journalism starts with knowing your place. The athlete is the main character, and the reporter is the one who tells the story. When the sense is missing, the person being covered becomes something to be tested and judged, something lower than the reporter. A large part of Korean sports media has run on this structure for a long time. They don't cover an athlete as a human being. They treat the athlete as a stand-in for public emotion, as content to be consumed. So they always stand in the seat of a judge, asking not what kind of game did this athlete play today, but does this athlete meet our standard? When the judge's mindset meets a sense of inferiority, you get what we just saw. It's hard to climb up yourself, so you have to pull the other person down to your level to feel balanced again. The prospect becomes a tool of power in that moment. The status of being someone who covers, writes, edits, and sets the agenda becomes the only edge a reporter has in front of someone who shines far brighter. Being small-minded is no matter of ability. It's a matter of where you place yourself.
The closest thing to fresh air in this office is your boss's screensaver. But what if you just booked that lake house? Go on, it's easy. Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
The Sonic Smasher lineup just got hotter with the new Tropical Heat Smasher. 2 hand smash patties made with Angus beef make it a smasher. Jalapeno pineapple glaze brings the heat. It's Hot Smasher Summer for a limited time at Sonic.
But this doesn't end with the hearts of a few reporters. It's about how Korean society sees the arts and athletics. For a long time in this country, the arts and sports were the path for kids who aren't good at studying. School sorted them that way. So did homes, and so did the media. A detour off the proper track, a second best choice. That view was reproduced as a system for decades. Even in the music world, where I worked as a reporter, there was a school tier cartel and a hierarchy. Take in the musicians. The way reporters treated someone like Jang Gi-ha, a graduate of Seoul National University, and the angle they took when writing about him was clearly different from how they treat other musicians who only finished high school or drop out of college. There's a reason the phrase knowing your place and bowing exists in Korean society. So the moment the artist, a performer, or an athlete reaches global success, society and the journalists who think they are far superior scramble. They have no language to handle it properly. They are proud, but they have no framework to fully respect this person. We were never taught how to bow in respect to someone who didn't study. So we swing between two faces. When the results are good, we lift them up as national heroes. When they fall short, we pull them down as people who aren't qualified. There's no middle ground. We treat them like a product that goes up and down with a performance. There's no steady respect for a human being. Here's the part that hurts the most. We are still clumsy at recognizing a different kind of excellence as excellence. The kind of excellence you can't line up by numbers like exam scores and resume points, the kind you can't grade on a fixed scale. Excellence achieved through the body, excellence achieved through art. The culture that respects these with the same weight is still thin. So a person the whole world marvels at gets torn down behind the training ground by reporters from his own country. It means the gap between what the world sees and what we see inside is exactly that wide. Talking about this brings back something from long ago. I was someone who left Korea because I disliked it. I was sick of the hierarchy, the abuse of power, and what I would call the hard work sickness, the pressure to always be grinding. When I started my
the workaholic aspect where, this is also why, I guess the birth rate is so low as well, because no one wants to. They'd rather do work all the time.
Living life on a small island abroad, at first time I went straight to Korean wine shop as if it were the obvious thing to do. But a week in, I realized it was a miniature Korea. The people who had left Korea had packed Korea's hierarchy and rules into their bags and unpacked them again on that island. Seniors used the juniors as they pleased. Rank came before ability. Young women who had finished their full training period were given no pay and no chance to teach. They were only made to do odd jobs. It was the passion pay I had suffered through so much in Korean society. On that island at the Korean wine shop, I was always the one who was never seen as a real diver. One day, I had a huge fight with an instructor who was sexually harassing the young women interns, and I left for a Western wine shop. And there, people told me I was a really excellent diver. Same people, same skill, and the opposite judgment. I was thrilled. I trained even harder and became an instructor, teaching foreign students in English. It was something I had never once imagined doing in my life. As time passed and my reputation grew, the people from the nearby Korean shops gathered and started bad-mouthing me. Back then, I was just furious. But looking back now, it was no different at all from how Korean society sees Sony, Kim Hyuna, or BTS. When the Korean shop instructors puts me down as someone who was never seen as a real good diver, it wasn't an assessment of skill. It was an assessment of how well I obeyed that community's hierarchy. What they measured with their ruler wasn't my ability. It was my compliance. And when I walked out of the Korean shop and succeeded at the Western shop, on a different path than theirs, I instantly became a traitor.
Okay.
The summer of play is at main event. New games.
When someone dismissed as talentless does well on a different road, it becomes proof that denies the community's hierarchy itself. The easiest way to erase that discomfort is to slap on a frame. She didn't win fairly, she cheated. The Korean reporter's line about Sonny, he didn't even serve the army, is one sentence that compresses all of this astonishingly well. Sonny, Kim Yeona, BTS, and me on that island all went through the same thing. We succeeded outside the path the community had set, and so we were attacked. Only the weapons were different. Military service, attitude, and so on. The weapons varied. The structure was one. You didn't win our way, so we won't accept that success. Of course, Korea isn't the only country that attacks its own stars. Argentina treats Messi harshly for a long time. Every time the team collapsed in a World Cup and Copa America World Cups, the criticism poured down. It got to the point where Atletico Madrid manager Diego Simeone said the criticism of Messi in Argentina wasn't fair at all. Brazil had the long rift between Neymar and its own press too. His teammate Dani Alves shielded Neymar's silence, saying that when criticism goes beyond what happens on the pitch, a player can't help but become sensitive. So similar things happen elsewhere, but there's one decisive difference. Argentina's case against Messi was that he couldn't bring home a trophy for the national team. Brazil's case against Neymar was his attitude in games and his private life. In other words, it was criticism of performance and behavior. So when Messi finally lifted the World Cup in 2022, the criticism almost vanished. The condition had been met. Korea is different. The basis for the attack on Sonny isn't his result or his play. It is, did he go through a social rite of passage our way? Military service has nothing to do with his play. Even if Sonny lifted the World Cup, the item, a man who did his service a different way, won't be erased from those reporters' minds. It's a condition that can never be filled. This is where our criticism splits from other countries' criticism at the root. It gets even clearer when you look at Japan. Japan also has strong collectivism and is close to a single ethnic group. But when Shohei Ohtani becomes the best baseball player in the world, attacks like this didn't come out inside Japan. If anything, the attitude was close to all. Same collectivism, but pointed in a different direction. Japan's collectivism works in the direction of don't let the individual shame the group. Korea's collectivism adds one more line to that. And don't let the individual rise too far above the group either. This one line of difference is what makes Korea, Korea, even within the same Confucian cultural world. This is where
So Japan basically does the whole don't let one person shame the entire group, or Korea is like that person needs to represent the entire group.
should bring up the phrase crab mentality. Put one crab in a tub and it climbs out. Put in several and none of them get out. When one tries to climb up, the others pull it down with their claws. It's not a wish to save the crab going up. It's an inability to stand the sight of one crab climbing out alone. That's crab mentality. This is only a Korea thing. In the Philippines, it's been studied for a long time under the name Talangka mentality. It shows up big and small in collectivist cultures everywhere. So why is Korea's version especially fierce, organized, and persistent? It's because in Korean society, there's only one trap. In a society with many paths to success, pulling someone down doesn't do much to lift you up. There are many ladders, so you can just climb a different one. But in a society where there's only one ladder from the college entrance exam to a top university, and from there to a big company or a civil service post, the math changes. Pulling someone down actually benefits you mathematically. The zero-sum game isn't an emotion. It's built into the structure. If the Philippine crab mentality works horizontally, Korea's works on top of a vertical hierarchy. It's a society where pulling someone down has become almost the same thing as climbing up. It's like a Squid Game. Another reason is a special mix of honor and shame. In other countries, someone else's rise is processed as a simple envy. In Korea, it's experienced as my relative fall. When the person next to me goes up one step, it feels like everyone else got pushed down one step. This way of feeling it as humiliation rather than joy lifts crab mentality up to the level of a survival reaction. On top of that, we still carry a psychology of scarcity planted by the compressed growth of the industrial era. Korea went from extreme poverty to plenty in a single generation. People who lived
Yeah, they were a poor country for a long time, and overnight they basically became one of the most richest countries in Asia.
Scarcity in their bodies passed that worldview straight to their children. Material plenty arrived, but the zero-sum feeling was never swapped out. The pali-pali culture, the hurry-hurry rush, and the pulling down doesn't foster slowly. It works explosively fast. The last decisive reason is high-speed internet. When world-class internet access combines with anonymity, an urge that would have stayed inside one heart turns into collective action in an instant. It's an infrastructure where the wish to pull others down gets organized and amplified. This is why Korea's culture of malicious comments and online group attacks stands out worldwide in its intensity. What Sony went through, what Kim Yeona went through, what BTS went through would never have been disorganized without the digital space. The more crabs in the trap, the fewer get out. And our trap is very narrow with only one exit, and the crabs inside are connected to each other in real time through the internet. That's why Korea's crab mentality is fiercer than other countries. So why is it Korea, of all places, that
It's a good question.
ended up scrutinizing so hard whether you did it the way we decided? At the bottom of our hearts, there are 5 layers stacked up. At the very bottom is the civil service exam system of Joseon's 500 years. For all that time, there was only one road to social rise: passing the exam the state set in the way it prescribed. Achievement through any other path won no legitimacy. Joseon practiced Neo-Confucianism more strictly and for longer than China as homeland. The belief that achievement is only recognized when it passes the road the state set was carved into our bones over those 500 years. On top of that, sit the layers of colonization and war. In a time of outside threat, the boundary of us became a matter of survival itself. Then, belonging to the group or breaking from it wasn't a social norm. It was the line between life and death. That experience hardened into a moral sense. When we were all suffering together, where were you? Became not a simple job, but a screening test for membership in the community. Above that is the layer of compressed growth. The industrialization that took other countries more than 100 years, we did in 30. To do that, the state had to design everything, and everyone had to march in the same direction and the same speed. In the 1960s and 70s, the 새마을, or New Village movement, openly organized civilian society in a military way. In that period, the whole society moved like one army, and living the line was coded not as individuality, but as betrayal. One gateway, the college entrance exam.
Oh
One
boy.
rite of passage, military service. One entry road, the big company open recruitment. They are all traces of the marching culture hardening into systems. Above that is the spread of military culture into civilian life. The problem is not conscription itself. It's that the language of the army spread through the whole society. Companies, schools, sports, teams, all runs on a grammar of hierarchy, obedience, and seniority first. Within that, a man who did his service a different way isn't just someone who fulfilled the duty differently. He becomes someone who didn't get that.
The Mo Value Meal. More choices, big value. All for $9.95.
Gosh. You freaking ads.
What if I don't like my therapist?
You'll find one you do.
I can't deal with insurance.
Training. The memories of obedience, endurance, and humiliation that those who served share work like a kind of group code, and anyone who couldn't share in it gets sorted as not really family. At the very top is the layer of the single yardstick. From the old civil service exam to today's college entrance exam, for centuries, we shaved down the ruler that measures a person's worth until there was only one. A single yardstick creates a zero-sum game. When someone succeeds outside the set path, it shakes the entire value system of the people who gave everything to that path. When a person who became a global star without the entrance exam standards in front of a person who poured their youth into, you have to say, that success isn't real to keep your own sacrifice meaningful. This is the rear engine of the attacks. When these 5 layers work all at once, the conclusion is harsh. A society where more than the achievement itself, what matters is whether the achievement came through the road we decided. And a quiet agreement that the success of someone who didn't follow the road, however bright, doesn't have to be fully recognized. Let me make one thing clear here. Korea's privileged press doesn't take the achievement itself away from Sony, Kim Yeona, or BTS.
So it doesn't take them away, but it doesn't register it as success either.
They don't deny that Sony is one of the best player in the world, or that Kim Yeona is one of the greatest figure skaters in history.
Those two are also part of the 5 national treasures of Korea, which includes BTS, the director who made, Parasite, Kim Yeona, who's the figure skater. What's the other one? Sonny, the figure skater. A BTS and Faker.
Anything, they burn it as fuel for 국뽕. But They keep two separate ledgers, an achievement ledger and a qualification ledger. They give full marks in the achievement ledger and still mark down the qualification ledger separately. You are the best in the world, but you should have done your military service our way. You are a world champion, but you should have managed your expression better. In most countries, when the achievement is overwhelming, the rest fades. In Korea, it doesn't.
Most of the time, yeah. Achievements are so obvious that kind of the hate just kind of died down and you just kind of forget it.
Fade. The two ledgers keep running separately to the end. Look at BTS. The military service debate dragged on for years, but the members enlisted one by one and completed their service. The basis for the attack, they didn't serve the army, disappeared. So did the Korean press ease up? No. The moment one box in the qualification ledger was filled, the next box opened right away. Their comeback is late. They are not what they used to be. The solo work is getting ahead of the group. Only the weapon changed. They never closed the ledger itself. When one item is filled, they pull out the next. That's how our privileged press works. But for that ledger to keep working, someone has to keep reading it. Yes, the privileged press is a cartel. But what makes this cartel a cartel isn't only the people inside it. It's the people who click on the spiteful articles, who leaves the comments, who share them, who write a feeling. The people who quietly nodded that he didn't even serve the army. All those nods gave the ledger its legitimacy. Cartel are built from the top.
So it's the same with like clickbait and hate videos. If you ignore it or don't realize it or pretend it doesn't exist, it has no effect. But once you start clicking on everything, then you become part of the issue and kind of also flood the gates as well.
But they lose their power when the bottom stops agreeing. They kept writing those articles because we kept consuming them. While the world was bowing to Sony,
clickbait strategy.
Someone among us was watching content and cut him down and feeling a quiet relief. That relief was the market. So this isn't a story we can end by blaming the only press cartel. Let's go back to the training ground at the 2026 World Cup in Mexico. This time, something was different. Sony didn't fight alone. Until now, no matter how much he took, there was no response at the team level. But this time, his teammates closed their mouths together with him. The moment the group stood together, the old method of pulling one person aside and branding them too sensitive or ungrateful no longer worked. And that scene unfolded on the world stage of the World Cup. Korean media, who used to deal only with the domestic opinion, were placed for the first time in a set where they couldn't avoid responsibility in front of the eyes of the world. It may be a small crack, but cracks are where it begins.
Arby's pecan chicken salad sandwich, made by
I mean,
hand,
it's a small
eaten
crack,
by mouth.
But cracks become a glaring hole later.
Maybe I should just head home.
No, please, I'll call you. Living with damage to your car is never not annoying. So
Those reporters thought the mic was off, but the mic is always on. The ruler we quietly pull out in front of someone's achievement. The need to pull a person down to our own height before we feel at ease. The narrow-heartedness that can never accept as family a person who shines on a different path. All of it was actually being broadcast the whole time. The world was already listening. We were the only ones who thought the camera was off. Why do we try to pull down a person the world loves? The answer to that question isn't in Son Heung-min. It's inside us. In the place in our hearts that resents a person who shone by walking a different road, there's something crouching. It's our own long-held lack, the lack of a road we were never once allowed to take. So I want to ask, when will we be able to look at a person who becomes a great in a way different from ours and just call them great? Can we put down the ruler, close the ledger, and simply applaud? I learned one thing on that small island. The moment you step out of the crowd that gathers to throw insult at someone's light, your own light finally begins to come on. The wish to pull others down has no end. But in the wish to recognize others, there is freedom. So everyone, what did you think? If you enjoyed this video, please support me with a like and a subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you'd like to support my channel, you can join the membership. This has been Hannah's Island. Here, you are safe. Until we meet again, rest easy on the island that fits your own latitude. Take care. Bye.
Yeah, so that's, I guess currently now that we've watched the, okay, let me, I guess have a little talk about, the open. Oh, there. Yeah, a little talk about, the national team, I guess. All right. So let's have a little talk. Just this. All right. So Korea's national team played Czech Republic 2-1. Lost to Mexico. Okay, that makes sense. And then you lose to South Africa in probably one of the most sloppy ways possible. Now everyone's like, get this guy fired. And apparently this was a thing back in 2014. And Son, like we just watched the video, there's theories that the coach or the management hates him. And this is also his potential last World Cup. So it's like, what are we doing? But now we're, I guess, hoping Japan beats Sweden for, anything to happen. And if they don't, so I don't know. And Ecuador just beat Germany. Okay. All right. So, okay. Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens to the manager or the coach later. But for now, kind of disappointment. Speaking of disappointments, we're going to react to a Johnny Smalley video because, there's been a little update. So that said, we're going to switch over to that. Yes, I guess the lesson is no matter what media, the mainstream media will always hate you, no matter what it is. So okay. Anyway, All right, back to Johnny Smollett, I guess. All right.
Ramzi Khalid Ismail, aka Johnny Somali, is in his final day in court. We're going to get into that today on The Legal Mindset, where we teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, who's been tracking the Johnny Somali case from really beginning to end. And we're about at that point here in this stage where things are coming to a close. As a quick recap, Johnny Somali was sentenced earlier this year to 6 months with labor in a...
What's my to add? That's too small. He needs 3 years or more because he's not going to learn his lesson after 6 months. He's going to try to do the same exact thing that he did prior.
In addition to being required to register on the offender list in Korea, having his phones confiscated from him, and is currently sitting in the Seoul Nambu Detention Center pending his appeal. He's now on an appeal, aka a second trial. So what we're having right now is this second trial. Now, before we get into all the details here and what's going on with the second trial, I have a very important message. Recently, a jury ordered Meta and YouTube to pay millions for their role in designing and promoting addictive platforms. They knew their apps could contribute to anxiety, depression, and body image issues, but did not share those risks while prioritizing profits. The recent historic verdict underscores the consequences of those decisions. If you or your child spent years growing up on social media and experienced serious mental health struggles, you should hear this. Morgan & Morgan is stepping up to hold these platforms accountable for the harm they caused. You can use the link in my description or scan the QR code to take a short quiz to see if you qualify for a case. You may be entitled to a potential recovery of over $1,000. Now that that's done, back to a business. So looking at Johnny Somali's case, one reason why this is moving so fast is because neither Johnny Somali nor the prosecution are calling any more witnesses. So really what they're considering is what they've already considered during the first trial. They're not really looking at too many extra things coming out on this second trial, and they're mainly just applying the law. Now, there are some minor things that have happened since last time, including one that followed up by a member of the SCT team to submit additional evidence in this case. So we had Johnny Somali submitting all these letters of reflection saying that he's sorry, he's remorseful. So a member of the SCT over here delivered this brand new filing pretty much rebutting why Johnny Somali's new letters of apology and what he's trying to say as his grounds for an appeal, why they don't matter. So let me read this translation to you from this new submission that was made by a member of the Somali conviction team. The defendant's statement of grounds for appeal contains the following arguments. Of these, 3 claims: admission of all charges and genuine remorse, absence of financial gain, and a promise not to reoffend, are directly refuted by the video evidence submitted below. So they've got on that USB stick enough video evidence to show that these things are not true. Because Somali is claiming to admit all charges and be remorseful. He is saying that the nature of the characteristics of his crime were not serious. It says it appears the damage suffered by victims of the distribution of fake videos is not severe. 4, they're saying he suffers from bipolar disorder and is unable to obtain medication while staying in Korea. 5, the defendant did not cause any special financial benefit from the crime. And 6, the defendant pledged not to commit such a crime again. So the submission here that was made says number 2, 3, and 4. So saying the crimes weren't serious, saying the victims, their damage wasn't severe, and also saying he has bipolar disorder has already been addressed in the original submission. So all of these claims have been addressed in the original materials that were submitted. But they also had, this new submission has evidence that directly refutes the fact that he is remorseful, that he didn't gain a benefit from this crime, or that he pledged not to commit such a crime again. So all of that is countered by evidence which is submitted now. So the judge has more than enough to offset, if they want to, the judges, because there are 3 judges on the appeal as opposed to 1 during the first trial. They've got all the evidence they need to put this guy away and to lock this guy up and to refute any of his grounds for appeal. So in judgment here today, the upcoming June 25th court appearance will be his last in-person appearance, because even if, no matter what happens, even if he was to win at this appeal, there can be an appeal to the Supreme Court even by the prosecutor. So if the prosecutor doesn't like how this came out, they can appeal this to the Supreme Court.
So the 25th, which is today, is the last appearance unless he tries to appeal again, which in my opinion, when he tried to appeal, they should have added more charges. As a reminder, don't try to appeal just like, oh, we'll add a year or add 2 years to you since you tried to appeal again. But I guess they should have at least done something to, I guess, as a warning not to try to appeal. Like added 2 more months or something. I don't know. But all they did is they did lighten it, but they didn't make it harsher either. So I don't know.
But the Supreme Court of Korea does not do oral arguments. It's not like the U.S. It's written opinion only. So even if this goes up to the Supreme Court, he's not going to be there physically in a courtroom again. So this is going to be the last time we're going to see him in a courtroom, which will be very interesting. Also, it's up to the judges at this point. We've done all we can do. We've said all we can say.
Yeah, at this point, everyone that's talked about Johnny Smalley, me, and other people, we've kind of already did our best, do the alerting and stuff. So it's kind of at that point up to the judges and the Supreme Court of the Korean national law. So
say we've covered all we can cover on my channel, on other channels about Ramsey.
Yeah, up to Korean judges whether to change the sentence or keep it the same. I vote extend it to maybe a few months or a year, but that's me.
To smell about Johnny Somali. It's up to Korea, and I have faith in the Korean justice system and the lawyers.
So do I. Just hopefully they actually do something
that are looking at this.
But there is criticism that Korean law and just in general are getting a bit softer on crime. Hopefully they don't, but that's kind of that concern.
The judge is looking at this, the prosecutor, obviously. I have faith in those people that the right thing is going to happen for Korea and that we're going to get a good decision here. So let's wait and see what the judges deliver in Korea. And I'm going to be following this as this case comes to a close. But I want to know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will catch you on the next one.
Yeah, I guess faith in Korea. We've done hopefully harsher punishment happens, but I guess until then we just wait and see. For now, he is just stuck in 6 months. So I guess with that said, that's the stream for today. Like the stream if you want, subscribe if you enjoy Korean media, drama, other stuff as well. I do occasionally the Korean music, K-pop stuff, other stuff, maybe other stuff as well. But that's stream for today. I would get subscribe, comment your thoughts as well if you're watching on the rewatch. And I guess I'll see y'all later.
Welcome to the Blizzard Arena.
And the quest for a champion begins today.
The anticipation has been building, and it is finally time. We are live.
Are you ready?
is a really...
Can you get over the roof there? Oh my.
Oh my, what a play, what a grab!
Another jump here off the high ground. Super goes forward, but gets stuck up. The EMP comes in, and ding, he rains down hell from above.
Here comes Pine. Gets one, gets two. Looking for a bit more, gets another one.
Tuno's down again. That heralds disaster generally for the Fusion, and Carpe wasn't far behind. Prophet, he's killed 4 players now on his own.
From Vancouver, locks him in the sound barrier. Sound bomb coming from John. Oh my God, he does it again.
Flutter now moving onto the Widowmaker, taking the clutch into his own hands. The headshot after headshot after headshot.
We're going to try and circle around. I'm going to call this the merry-go-round because it makes me laugh. Makes me happy, and Shortfall switches to the Widowmaker at just the right time!
Oh, the Gravy, the lock!
I'm the best person in the world.
You could have told me that you spoke English, honestly.
The fans never thought they'd see this day. It took 43 matches. Feels like a really emotional moment here.
Sorry.
All right. See you later. Bye.